Welcome students in our today's session where we are going to talk about the poem I'm Getting Old Now by Robert Kroetsch. Robert Kroetsch is basically a Canadian poet and novelist born in Helsier, Alberta, and he is regarded as a stalwart figure in Canadian literature as his poems are innovative in their themes and techniques. He has written diverse experimental poems and is positioned gallantly in the seat of the avant-garde poets of the 20th century. The hallmark of his work is that it extends the boundaries of conventional forms, textures, and meaning and enables the language to create possibilities of its own. If we talk about his literary works, The Leader, which he wrote in 1975, The Sad Phoenician, uh, Too Bad, The Hornbooks of Rita Ake, and Completed Field Notes, The Long Poems of Robert Kroetsch, etc. And our today's poem is I Am Getting Old Now, is basically a prose poem. If we defined a prose poem, it can be defined a piece of imaginative poetic writing written in a prose form. So let's start the textual analysis of our today's poem. This poem brings out the poet's idea of death, time, and age, as we will see in the text here that the poet is approaching towards his old age and he is very much aware of this fact. So in the very beginning of this line, the first line of this text, where he says, I am getting old now, I can tell, I dream a lot of my mother. So as you can see from the very beginning line of this poem, this statement actually brings out the poet's awareness of his advancing age. He is very much aware that he is getting old now, and he is saying that he can tell this fact rather. And when as he grows old, the memories of the past pain him since they are lost. So he indulges in a dream that when his old age is approaching, or we can say the later phase of his life is moving very fast, and he is very much aware that he is uh, getting old very rather he is he can deduce this pain of his lost life simultaneously, how that he has also started dreaming about a lot about his mother. As he says, I dream a lot of my mother. As this shows that this first part of this poem is also suggests that here the poet is in a nostalgic mood. He actually tries to give expression to his nostalgic dream about his mother. In my dream last night, she was in the garden over the hill behind our house. So he's saying that in his dream during the previous night, he what he recollects through his dream, that he recalls in his dream the day when he was standing in the garden over the hills with his mother, and he was playing there in his garden. She was standing, I was playing in the pea vines, as he was playing amidst the pea plants there. And what was he doing? He was playing there. We were both happy, neither of us would move in the dream. So the poet showed in his dream that he and his mother, they both were very happy, and neither of us would move in the dream, and neither of them would move, and they were standing there. They perhaps I wasn't playing. I was kneeling to pick peas. My mother held in her apron the peas we had picked together. So, in a very conversational tone, the poet states further that he was not actually playing, but what was he doing? He was kneeling to pick peas with his mother. That he actually in the garden he was also standing with his mother, and uh, his mother held the peas in her apron which they had picked together, and she was standing still. His mother was standing still. She was not moving at all. I knew she was watching me. She was watching me grow like a bad weed, she liked to say. And here the poet is expressing his emotional feelings with regard to his mother, his love for his mother and affection. He says that he could see the love and affection of the mother in her eyes as well when she compares him to be a bad weed, she liked to say. So it seems that his mother was comparing him to be a bad weed. It implies that he grew very fast, that too like a bad boy. So this is said in a rather endearing way. It is natural for mothers to speak about their naughty children in this manner. So it is like that, and that pleased her, and that thing he the poet is admitting here that he could see the love of his mother for him, and that statement of a bad boy or bad weed is actually please her. I'm getting old now. I wouldn't say I'm happy. Seren is an adequate word. Death is not quite the enemy it was, it is kind of watching. In the second part of this poem, we can deduce here that the poet is actually has come to the present state, present time. Okay, he has come to the present time when he clearly accepts this fact that he is getting old now. I wouldn't say I am happy. He is also confessing, or he is also admitting this fact that he is not going to say that he is happy. Seren is an adequate word. Rather, it would be more appropriate for him to use the word Seren to denote his present state of mind, or present state of heart. Death is not quite the enemy it was, it's a kind of watching. So here, when he has grown old, he is also aware for that he is now approaching his impending death. It means that his death is very close to him, and he is not disregarding or he is not likely to criticize death, or he is not in a way, actually he welcomes death, that he doesn't consider death as his enemy. When he says death is not quite the enemy it was, it is a kind of watching. So he is watching out for death, for its arrival. Actually, he is waiting for his own death. Death begins to seem a friend that one has almost forgotten, then remembers again. And he is realizes that the inevitability of death, and actually he accepts death as a friend. In a way, when somebody waits about his long lost friend, who is forgotten. When somebody remembers his long lost friend, and like in the same manner, the poet also is waiting for his own death. He is also remembering his approaching death in the same manner. In my dream last night, I was playing in the garden. So the poet seems to suggest that he is waiting for death, watching out for it as one waits to meet a long lost friend you had almost forgotten. As he thinks about death, he is again transported back to his old memories and dreams of his happy childhood, that in the last night he had a very beautiful dream in which he was playing in his garden with his mother. So here we can find there that in the first part of the poem, the suggests that the first part of the poem tells about his dream about his childhood, his love and affection toward his mother, and the second part actually symbolizes that his death is very near, close to him, and he has to meet his own fate. So here we can find the logical as well as the emotional link between these two parts of the poem. In the first part of the poem, where he talks about his dream, and in the second part he talks about the reality of his life, that is death, that is about his old age, which makes the poem very full of interest, or very much appealing. The poet makes use of very simple language to convey his nostalgic feelings and his views about death. Actually, he tries to point out that death is not an enemy of men, therefore one should not be afraid of death. On the contrary, one should happily accept death as the natural end of life, and we should not afraid of death. We should actually welcome the approaching death of in one's as a natural end of one's life. So here actually the poet has talked about the concept of death, age or time. He gives the idea that he is almost waiting for death, watching it out as if he is awaiting for it, just like the meeting with a long lost friend one has almost forgotten, and he also does so. Once more he is transported back in his old memories, and the poem ends with his engaging in his old childhood happy days memories. So students, I hope you have understood the poem very well, and with this I look forward to you in our next sessions. Thank you for now.